Hi, it's the fake Brit here, and this is a different kind of video. I'm going to be doing a little tech rant, and I don't normally do this because I love tech, but then there's one specific issue that I've pinpointed concerning Apple devices specifically. Now, this is a MagSafe adapter. This is usually what MacBooks use to charge their battery, and it has the very innovative magnetic lock. So if you plug this into your MacBook, it's going to magnetically latch onto the computer and automatically begin the process of charging the battery. Very convenient. And of course, I think the design principle behind this is that if you trip over the wire, the connector is going to detach from the computer very easily, so that if you trip over the wire accidentally while your MacBook is plugged in, you're not going to trip over the entire computer and cause it to break, right? That's a very clever implementation, although I can see a very fundamental flaw here, and that is with regards to the design of the wires. Now for this one, I've actually had this repaired already, because I'm going to show you what the problem is. This is my old MagSafe wire or cable that was detached from the MagSafe adapter when I had it repaired. Now the reason I had this one replaced was that the wire is already beginning, no, not even beginning, it's almost as if it's in an advanced state of decomposition, because look at the wire and look at the insulation, how it's peeling off like that, especially on a very critical part of the cable, which is the point at which it attaches to the MacBook. This is essentially the power output, right? And this is responsible for connecting to the MacBook to charge the battery. And my big question to Apple is, why did you engineer your cables to easily break like this? It doesn't make any sense to me as an end user, especially as a power user, this kind of engineering that is so prone to failure. Look, critical point, right? The point of attachment to the MacBook, and this is where the insulation first begins to fail. The rest is kind of okay, but this is really also beginning to peel off, and it just takes a bit of time, a bit of wear and tear, natural wear and tear, for this entire thing to come off. In fact, look at this part. This is another critical part, right? This is the point where it attaches to the adapter. On the actual adapter, that's actually this part right here. This is a very critical point, right? And it is so prone to failure on even brand new MagSafe adapters that this tends to happen. The insulation peeling off and the cable frying like that. And I actually put some protective wrapping around it, but this really doesn't do much good, because if the insulation still peels from under it, then there's nothing I can do about that. In fact, I could actually show you by unraveling this protective layer. There it is. As you can see, there's no damage yet, so that's a good thing. But then, this is my biggest problem with how Apple engineers their cables, right? There is no strain relief at all. Now, under normal circumstances, I mean, with other power adapters from other laptop manufacturers, there would always be a strain relief at these two critical points. This one, where it attaches to the power adapter, and this one, where it attaches to the laptop. There is always a good measure of strain relief engineered right into the cable. For those of you who are wondering what a strain relief looks like, this is an adapter from a Lenovo laptop, right? One of the more newer ones, the Lenovo IdeaPad 110. And if you notice this part right here, where the cable connects to the adapter, this is a strain relief, so that if it bends, the cable isn't very strained like that. But there's a way for this one to absorb the force of the strain being put on the cable whenever it's being bent like that, so it won't get damaged as much. Same thing goes for the part that connects to the laptop. This is the part that connects to the laptop's DC in port, and this one has a very similar design. Strain relief, strain relief. Both sides, both critical points. These two critical points must always have strain relief. This is good engineering design. It might not look as nice, but it's very functional, and it keeps these adapters lasting very long. In fact, most of these adapters from other manufacturers last much longer than the service life of the actual laptop. The laptop goes dead even before the adapter gives way. So that tells you something about good engineering design. The consequence of having no strain relief on this part right here is that when the cable bends over like that, although this happens very rarely, but if ever the cable bends like this, it puts a lot of tension and strain on this part of the wire, and this is what is prone to fail the most, right? So if the wire experiences a lot of pushing and pulling and straining at this point, eventually this insulation is going to peel off, exposing the wire and becoming a proper electrical hazard. It hasn't happened to this end, but it has happened to this end. At a very critical point in the power cable, the insulation was not engineered to last very long. And if this were still in use right now, if I was still using this same wire without any sort of protection around this exposed part right here, this would be a proper electrical hazard. The moment I touch this, I would get shocked, and 220 volts and all of that running through your body is not good. So my question to Apple is, why on earth do you insist on this kind of engineering design? This is the worst kind of engineering design I have ever seen on cables. I have never, ever in my life seen any sort of manufacturer of electronics construct cabling like you do. No strain relief whatsoever, and no way of preserving these critical points of the wires. Insulation that peels off so easily, just expose it to a little bit of moisture and, normal use, right? Because, well, the Philippines is quite a humid environment. This is the place I live in. There's a lot of humidity in the air, so it's pretty normal to get this wire exposed to environments where moisture is kind of high. But that's all it takes, a bit of humidity, to destroy a cable. And look, this is a prime example of what I've been telling you. The insulation breaking off, look at that. Look at this. You can see the breaks that are beginning to form at this specific part of the wire, right? And if this is just allowed to stay there and I don't do anything about it, this entire insulation will break apart, starting from here, extending up to here, then to here, then up until the end of the wire here. And it's just going to be like this one. It's going to end up like this part, completely exposed, insulation completely decomposed and detached like that for no apparent reason at all. I'm not even kidding here. My dog did not eat this. My dog did not chew on any part of this wire. I am 100% sure of that. Ants? No, this is not ants. This isn't even mice or rats chewing on the wire, no. There are no clear bite marks in here. In this entire strip of wire, there are no bite marks. It is just the natural decomposition of Apple's very, very reliable material they use for the insulation. I don't know what kind of material Apple used for this one, but it is very, very rubbish in quality. Look at that, look at that. Unbelievable. Thankfully, there are repair shops like what I found called B-Tech Repair Services that specialize in repairing Apple devices, including MagSafe power adapters. Now, if you're living in Davao City, where I live, I would recommend BTech if you have an iPhone, an iPad, a MacBook, or a MagSafe power adapter that needs repair. This guy does excellent repairs, and I believe that he even does a better job than Apple itself. Because if you take a broken MagSafe, right, to an Apple store or an iCenter anywhere in the city, they would just brush it aside and tell you to just buy a new one. How much does a new one cost? A whopping 5,000 each. I'm not even kidding. It's going to cost you 5,000 to buy a new adapter. Even if what's broken is just the wire. And the wire is perfectly replaceable, just like what Mr. BTech did to my MagSafe 2 power adapter here. All he did was replace the wiring. This adapter is still the original, but the wire, this entire strip of wire, has been replaced by a new one. Not an original one from Apple, I believe, but it still works, and it only cost me less than half of what it would cost me if I were to buy a new MagSafe 2 adapter. It only cost me about 1,890 for the entire repair of this cable. Fraction of the cost. Of course, I would choose BTech over the iCenter, because they're not going to repair this anyway. They're not willing to do it. For some reason, they just want to milk as much money as they can from me, as is their business model. Why am I not surprised, Apple? Why am I not surprised? Go to BTech Repair Services. I will link his address down below in the description. 100% guaranteed, you will not regret it. Thank you, Mr. BTech, for the repairs you did. It is very, very much appreciated on my part, and I really hope that your business grows. And I really hope that you continue in your efforts to provide excellent repair to people who do not really want to buy new Apple devices. Cheers, mate.